Hello everyone, my name is Tara Martins and I'm in the Gender Studies course at Madison College. For my final, I chose the discussion of sexual assault of children, and especially within religion and specifically among the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, before I begin, I would like to give an advisory warning. The material I am discussing today has a sexual nature of assault of children, and there is a specific attention to how this is done within religion. And I understand that this can be triggering information for those of you who are uncomfortable or might disturb. Please walk away from this, and for those of you who choose to stay, I encourage you to watch my presentation. Now, the reason why I chose this subject is because children are reliant upon adults. For my PowerPoint image, I can see here that children are reliant upon their caretakers and their families, and as they grow up, many children are brought up in a religious environment where they rely upon the trust and control that's in religion to protect them. And within my information, what I had seen from my information was that children are really singled out in the fact of needing to have that trust in adults, and for those of pedophiles and those who are going to use children sexually, the exploitation only happens after that child has been singled out based on their age, their physical size, and a nature of an emotional relationship. So, according to RAINN organization against sexual assault of children, the studies all agree that child sexual abuse is a much more widespread problem than previously estimated, and even the lowest prevalence rates include a large number of victims who need to be taken into account. Literally, there's thousands of children who are sexually assaulted, and this sexual assault can happen verbally or visually or anything that forces a person to join in unwanted sexual contact or attention. And sometimes there's examples of voyeurism when someone wants to take advantage of a child by showing sexual acts or encouraging that child to do the same. And exhibitionism, where they show them, the adult will show themselves in public to initiate sexual assault. And then there's also incest among family members and sexual harassment. But among all these different situations, the main issue is that there is a amount of control and authority that's misused and to pull that child away. Because the nature of children relying heavily upon supervision from their parents, really the only way to take them out of the comfort and care of proper authority figures in their family is by what is known as grooming. Now, grooming can look something like Christmas. The child is given extensive amounts of attention and gifts and told that they are loved, they're cared for, and is always there when the child needs to call them in a state of worry or concern, and that person will be the first to be there for them and to surprise them with gifts that they never knew there was coming. And this is one of the most common kind of ways we call grooming. It's a blanket statement where the child has been identified as a target. First of all, there's some kind of parental authority that is missing from that child's life, which leaves them as an easy prey for things to happen. And gaining trust of a child is not necessarily quick, but the perpetrator is making a special effort to weigh out what kind of vulnerabilities this child has. And they're also going to isolate that child, pull them away from the environment. And with all of the wonderful things that perpetrator is trying to give the veneer of, the most important thing that that perpetrator will do is something called as secrecy. Now, secrecy will make it very difficult or impossible for that child to tell any other adult about what's happened or what kind of emotional tools or ploys this perpetrator is using, because there is some kind of control. Now, this brings us to religion. In religion, there is laws that protect religious leaders from having a typical form of abuse, because the kind of situation that happens within a church is that there is this place of trust. A place where children especially, are told what is right and what is wrong, and there are enforced ideas of gender roles and inferiority of women, and intimidated by churchgoers with the idea of authority figures. Especially among Jehovah's Witnesses, where I came from as a young child, we would have our service meetings because Jehovah's Witnesses are known to come to your door and knock on your door to proselytize religious beliefs. But in these service meetings, if there was all women and a young boy of maybe 10 or 12 and had been baptized, all of the women would have to have the young boy lead them over a service meeting. And this was because of a supposed biblical orientation with how men are supposed to take the lead, women set behind slowly and quietly. Now, this patriarchal view was described by sociologist and feminist Sylvia Welby, who defines a patriarchy as a system of social structures and practices in which men dominate, oppress, and exploit women. What better way than within religion? Now, in the case of Jehovah's Witnesses, the control is so tight that, and the rules are set up in a way that really make for the child to not, to be afraid of secrecy, the idea of what perpetrators use, but are also reinforced to know a strict rule about how these matters work. Please watch this short clip from Candace Conti, a former Jehovah's Witnesses, who talks about her sexual abuse allegations.
After she'd grown up and left the church, when she found Jonathan Kendrick on the sex offender registry for abusing another child in a different congregation, and she finally decided to act.
I felt really guilty for not doing anything so that this wouldn't have happened to somebody else.
She went to local church leaders and told her story.
But they wouldn't listen to me unless I proved my case.
How do you prove that you've been abused?
You have 2 witnesses to the crime.
According to the religion's internal system of justice, it's believed that the Bible requires there to be at least 2 witnesses in order for a crime to be punishable. Who abuses children with 2 witnesses?
Nobody does.
And this problem of needing 2 witnesses to verify that there's been a sexual assault or a crime creates a large problem for hundreds of young children who have been raised among Jehovah's Witnesses. This information is very sobering, it's disturbing, but really what's important is to understand how those perpetrators work, understand grooming, and this effort to have a perfect environment such as religion or Jehovah's Witnesses specifically, who made this space for those who would take a child aside and sexually assault them. It can happen in so many different scenarios, but it only happens where a secret can be kept, and where these kind of laws that allow for this abuse to happen within the religion or society, for these laws to back up the perpetrator and to stop the child from speaking the truth. With this in mind, I encourage you to be aware of the matter of sexual assault among children, and to encourage your children to speak up for themselves, know about sexuality, and know what is unacceptable or wrong behavior. Thank you.